Hi everyone, my name is Adam and welcome in my new video. Today on the bench I have a Tissot from beginning of the 20th century. I got it from the auction, fairly cheap, so let's check what's wrong with it. From outside it seems to be really in good shape. It has original case made of 80% silver alloy. It was very common in 19th and 20th century continental Europe. It is not English sterling, that has 92.5% of silver, but it's solid, durable, and it was enough. Inside we can see the movement is a bit dirty, but overall in good condition also. So let's start to take it apart. First we have to remove two screws that holds the whole movement in the case, and then we will be able to remove the case. Unlike most American pocket watches, we have to remove the stem to be able to remove the movement from the case. So, the movement of course goes out through the front part of the case, so it's just a matter of lifting it and taking it out. Now we can also see that the dial has some small hairline cracks. But let's go on and take off the hands from the movement, so we can take off the dial also. Now when the hands are off, it's a matter of unscrewing two screws that holds the dial feet. We can access them from the side of the movement, and it's a fairly easy job. So now when the dial is off, we can take care of the keyless work. But before that, let's take care of the dial and put it in a special container. But let's proceed. First the washer and the hour wheel. Then we can take all the parts of the keyless work. Two screws. And then all the springs and levers can go out. Just to be a bit careful here and hold the yoke spring in place when we remove it so it won't fly away. And the rest of the parts can go out. Last part on this side of the movement was the cannon pinion that was a bit stubborn, and I needed to use the hand levers to get it off. And I also decided to take the cab jewel off so I can wash everything properly. So now when one side is ready, we can flip the movement and take care of the rest. First in the queue, balance bridge with the balance assembly. I want to take it out first because it's the most delicate part. So I don't want to destroy anything there by accident. Next, I can unscrew all the screws that holds the train of wheels bridge in place. And after that, we can take care of the pallet fork, because that should be actually the first thing you do. Removing pallet fork will remove all the tension on the main spring. That will help to do not have any flying parts. And now the screws are out, so we can use a small screwdriver to just lift the bridge off and then use the tweezers to remove it. And now when I remove the pallet fork, you can see that there was some energy stored in the mainspring, even though I released it before. And let's proceed now with the bridge. It was already loose, so it's just a matter to lift it off. And here we can see whole train of wheels. The center wheel is actually stuck. The ratchet wheel and the crown wheel is holding it in place, so let's remove those. The ratchet wheel has normal thread and the crown wheel has a right-handed thread. Let's remove them and then we can proceed with the train of wheels. Now when the train of wheels is gone, we can take care of the barrel bridge, and it's 3 screws that holds it in place. So let's quickly take care of those, and we can remove the barrel bridge. And that's it. All the parts are out now. So let's take care of cleaning them and then let's go back and assemble it. Everything was cleaned off camera. I'm using ultrasonic cleaner, so it's quite easy process. So let's put the mainspring that looks quite okay into the barrel. Let's put some oil on it and close the barrel. As I don't have a mainspring winder yet, I have to do it the old school way, so I'm using my fingers. Just to be careful to do not leave any residues or parts of the finger cuts. When the mainspring is in the barrel, I'm using a bit of HP 1300 oil on it and then putting the mainspring arbor. Just make sure it's in the right spot from the beginning, so there will be no surprises later on. And then just put back the lid on. It should snap into the place. It's good to use this special tool. It's very simple and very inexpensive. And now, as always, it's a good idea to put some oil on the metal-to-metal contacts that prevent friction and makes the movement healthier. So basically, all the slow-moving, high-torque parts, we should use HP 1300. On a quicker-moving parts and low torque, it will be the low viscosity Mobius 9010. So the barrel bridge is on, so it's just putting the screws into the place and snugging them. I did a mistake here actually, and I did put the crown wheel and the ratchet wheel first on, which was totally unnecessary, because then I couldn't put the train of wheels back on. Until that, here goes the washer, and I did place it first the wrong side up, so I had to just take it off and put it back in as it should be. A touch of oil, and let's go with the train of wheels. In this movement we start with the fourth wheel, then the third and the center wheel. The last one will be the escape wheel. Now, the most fun part, the bridge. It is a bit tricky because it's 4 points that has to be aligned together, and I did it under the microscope and off the camera because it took me a while. But now when everything is back on, we can proceed with the pallet fork. And now the pallet fork bridge. This step is also a bit tricky because if we put too much pressure on the bridge, most likely we'll crack the jewel that the pallet fork is sitting in. So at every step I'm trying to check if the pallet fork is actually moving freely and it sits in its jewels as it should. You can see it here. And now when everything seems to be aligned, let's snug the screws, put some wind in and check if the pallet fork will jump. And yes, it works nicely. Let's put some missing screw to the barrel bridge and let's take care of the last part so we can have a complete movement. And here we have the balance bridge. It has been cleaned, but we have to open the jewel assembly to clean it inside and lubricate it also. It is a bit tricky because the screws are from underside of it and everything is pretty tiny there. I'm cleaning it with a bit of hexane and a cotton swab. That's enough because I can see, I was working under the microscope and I could see that everything is spotless. So now after the cleaning I can prepare everything for assembly, so put everything in the right order and then put a droplet of oil on the jewel. And here you can see it. It should be in the center of the jewel, and then we will put the bridge on top of it and put the screws in. Of course, it would be really, really good to do not smear it all over the place and be sure that it stays on the jewel. And as I was working under the microscope with quite big magnification, I could see that the oil is in place and there was no air bubble. And when the screws are in place, I can put the balance wheel with the hairspring back on. In this case, it's just a matter to put the end of the hairspring that has a special pin into the slot, and also to keep the hairspring in between the regulating pins. That was a bit tricky, but in the end, after a few minutes maybe, I got it into the place. So when the balance assembly is ready, it was time to put some oil onto the cap jewel on the dial side of the movement. It's the same principle. You put a small droplet of oil onto the jewel and then just lift it up, rotate and put it into the place. That sounds easy, but it isn't. Most of the time you will drop it, it will go all over the place, and the oil also will be all over the place, and you have to clean everything up and start from the beginning. Now it's in place and we can put the screw in, and finally we can check the most important thing. If the movement have some life in it. So let's put the balance in and let's see. Will it move? Will it work? Let's take a look. It moved a bit. I think it's not right in the spot it should be. But let's move it a bit more. And yes, it runs. It runs really nice, actually. So yes, we managed actually one more time. Let's put the screw in and yeah, we have a running movement. Now, when the movement is back together, let's check the performance on the Timegrapher. Let's see. It is gaining a bit of time. It's plus 120 seconds per day. Not too bad. Let's put some oil on it and then regulate it. All the pivots beside the center wheel should be oiled with 9010 from Mobius. It's a low viscosity oil, it just needs a tiny drop on the pivot. And then just some HP 1300 on the center wheel, because it's metal to metal. Other side the same. And we do not put any oil onto the pallet fork pivots. I did forget to record, because you put some oil onto the pallet fork jewels, and that oil is actually a Mobius 9415. And you put just a tiny drop on the face that touches the escape wheel. But now let's put the keyless work back into the place. Here I'm using a bit of Molykote DX paste as a grease on all the metal to metal contact points. And here is the most tricky part, the yoke spring. It is a small spring, very hard, and it loves to fly away actually. It is kind of tricky to put it into the place. So the good idea is to actually hold it with other hand and some tool in place when you move it with the forceps. So now that little thing is in place, and it was actually in the wrong place. You can see the short part of the spring is into the hole, and it's not the right placement of it. So I did redo everything off the camera. And also you can see that I was so stressed about this little spring that I forgot to put some wheels into the movement. The intermediate wheel and the minute wheel. But before the minute wheel, I'd like to put the cannon pinion back in so I can press it down properly. So like I said, it looked like everything is done, but no, I had to reassemble everything. But after that, it was just a matter to put the stem with the crown in and check if everything works as it should. And after the reassembly, it's time for the dial. Dial just fits perfectly on, and then you screw it back into the place with those tiny screws on the sides of the movement that I showed you when I disassembled it. So the hour hand is in the place, and now it's the minutes hand. I just make sure that the hour hand is on the full time, like exactly at the hour marking, and then I can put the minutes hand onto the 12 o'clock, and then everything should line up perfectly. Now the seconds hand, it's on the bottom of the dial, and it's just a matter to press it in a bit. And now we can case the movement. So let's take out the stem with the crown and let's put it back into the case. I did use the stem here to align everything, and that worked really well. So when everything is aligned, stem goes in, I can tighten the screw that holds the stem, everything works, and then we can put the screws that holds the movement inside the case. And that's it. Let's check the Timegrapher again. If we could get some decent time. And that seems like yes. Now we can see it's around -4 seconds per day, and later on the amplitude went a bit up. And here we have it. A pocket watch from early 20th century from a maker that is with us from 1853. As always, thank you for spending time with me and watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.